Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. Another episode of Be You podcast, part of Supermom's Magic Circle. And today we have an amazing guest. But before we go to Martha, let me tell you something super interesting. So I will offer two slots for one-to-one business clarity coaching. So if you want one slot of that, please just let me know. Send me a flyer and we can make some magic together. Okay? So let's crack on. Today we have Martha Burich. She is an author. She wrote an amazing book that's called Yes, You Can Raise Happy, Responsible Children. And we learn so much from her today. She worked in the education system for over 16 years. And also, she was awarded for an outstanding professor at the college. What's really special about her is that she also worked in a high school with special education teacher for 16 years and as a volunteer in the county jail, and she goes and helps others to help with addiction and alcohol problems and all sorts of other things. She also has a child and two rescue dogs. So let's hear more from Martha. Hello.
Hello. Good morning. What a great day, huh?
Yes, fantastic. I'm very excited to learn from you all your knowledge and all your wisdom because you had such an amazing experience. And yes, I'm just so grateful to have you. Start telling us a bit about you and your journey.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's start with the very beginning. Mom loved my brothers better. Let's just get it out there. And just about everybody I know that has more than one child, or if you're a member and you have siblings, we all have that feeling. Mom and dad, mom loved you better, dad loved you better, blah, blah, blah. And we carry that with us throughout our lives, whether it's true or not. And what's really interesting is when I was about in my 30s, I talked to one of my brothers and we were having an argument about it. And I said, Mom loved you better. He goes, No, that's not true. She loved you better. And, we both had our evidence. And I thought for a moment, I thought, maybe it's possible that she did love us all the same, but in different ways because we're different people. And then I thought, nah, having that excuse to be able to say why I didn't excel or get things done, people say, well, it's because my mom loved my brothers better, was just too good to let go of.
Oh, wow, Marta. Thank you for sharing that. And that's so important because at the end of the day, it's all about our perspective, how we see that. So what would you say was the best thing for parents to do? As you know, I work with moms in business. So definitely our audience, they love to hear any parenting advice that you can provide. So what would you do different?
Well, as long as you're alive and you have more than one child, you're going to hear that. In fact, I was on the treadmill with a lady. She's 80. Her daughter's like 60. And she was still coming, pulling that argument with her mother. Well, you always loved my sister better, blah, blah, blah. And and the mom said to me, she goes, I don't know how many times I've told her, look, I love you all the same. In different ways, you're different people. I, you want to care, you want to hang on to that, hang on to it. I can't stop you. But if that's your excuse for why you don't excel, well, hang on to it. But I'm not going to take responsibility. So, just realize your kids are going to use that and move on with life. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, sweetheart. I love you all. And such is life.
Right. I see. So what would you say are the biggest mistakes parents do nowadays?
Well, parenting's hard. Roxandra. I mean, parenting's hard. And we come into it and we have all our own problems and our own issues and our own feelings about, how our parents treated us and how we want to treat our children. And then there are all these social pressures. And it is a really difficult job. So, the first thing I want to say to parents is, hey, you know, lighten up. It's okay. Whatever happened yesterday, forgive yourself. Say you're going to do better and make a plan to do better and work on the things that you think you need to change. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is find something positive to say to your child every day. I'm so glad you're my son. I'm so glad you're my daughter. Oh, I like the way you're so friendly with people. Oh, I like the way you did that. Oh, it really impresses me how you always get your homework done right away. Say something positive to your child every day because we're so busy being parents and trying to raise our children and help them become decent human beings that we forget it's connection before correction. Connect with your child. And also remember to apologize. Let me tell you a story. When my son was about, I don't know, I think he was 10, he went out with a friend and the friend's dad, and they went shopping. Well, the friend's dad bought the friend a toy or something, but he didn't buy Anthony, my son, anything. Well, when Anthony came home, he told me the story and he was really mad and hurt. And he told me the story and I said, "Well, what did you expect? You're not his son." And, of course, trying to correct, right? And he looked at me and he said, "You don't understand. I'm never talking to you again." And
Wow.
I realized that I had made a big mistake because I didn't listen. And so I said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, Anthony. I apologize. Please tell me again. I promise I'll listen." He told me the whole story again. He's, came out with, you could hear his anger and his hurt. I said, "It sounds to me like you're really hurt that he didn't buy you anything." And he said, "Yeah." And then he said, "Okay, I got to go." That's
Wow.
we just needed to be heard. And that's the same thing with our spouses, our family members, and our friends. They don't need us to fix their problems. They just want to be heard. "Oh, it sounds like that hurt you. Oh, it sounds like that really made you mad. Oh, it sounds like you feel discounted." That's all you have to say. You don't have to repair it. And if you want to say, "I have a suggestion if you'd like to hear it." But don't go telling people how to fix their problems because a lot of times they don't need the problem fixed from you. They just need to get it out so that they can process it better.
I love that. Wow, Martha, everything you just said is just so meaningful. Let's go back to the connection because I found that nowadays people don't know how to connect.
Mm,
How can they do that in a very, everyone is like, I don't have time, we don't have time. Well, you must make some time. And
right.
connection is so important.
Well, put your phone down, turn the TV off, turn the computer off, start scheduling. Start scheduling time. Say, "You know what? This is the 10 minutes or 20 or whatever I'm going to give to my child." Also, meal times. No negatives at the table. No negatives. That is not the time to tell the child they misbehaved at school, the teacher called. That's for a different conversation, a different time. Meal time should always be positive. And here's one way you can connect with your children and your spouses and your friends is to say, "What's the best thing that happened to you today and what's the worst?" I used to ask that when my son would come home from school, and boy, I found out everything that was going on at that school. And but he would also, but I would share with him what was my best and my worst too. So we that's a really good way to connect is rather than saying, "Hey, how was school today?" "That was great. It was fine." "How was work today?" "Oh, it was fine." No, what was the best thing? What was the worst thing? What's the most interesting thing that happened today? Nothing. Well, what's the second best? What's close? Does anything ever interesting happen? Who's the biggest troublemaker? Who's the most obnoxious person? Who's the most positive person? Just try to ask those different questions. Did something different happen today that doesn't normally happen? So rather than saying, "How was it?" Because, we'll always get the, "Oh, it was fine, it was fine."
That's phenomenal. That's so good. I will definitely start using those two questions because they are really, really good. Thank you. Now, let's go back to your book. I have to say the title is amazing. Honestly, I can't wait. You can, everyone who's watching, who's listening. So the book, it's called Yes, You Can Raise Happy, Responsible Children, and you can buy it from Amazon. And it's an amazing price. I check it out and I was like, wow, based on everything you put in there with so much experience and knowledge, I'm like, it's super, super, super cheap. Like, honestly, tell me more about responsible children. Let's go back to basics. What responsible actually means, and how can we start raising happy, responsible children?
That's such a really good question. Children today have no responsibilities. we we parents seem to think that the way to raise a happy child is to not have them participate and to do things and to help out. That's backwards. That's completely backwards because then what they do is they grow up to feel entitled. They grow up not realizing or caring that they need to help. 100 years ago, 150 years ago, when everyone lived on the farm, the 2-year-old was out feeding the chickens, and the 5-year-old had to help the 2-year-old, and the 8-year-old had to help with breakfast and getting things ready and feeding the cows, et cetera, et cetera. So they all had a purpose and a place, and that makes for happiness. That makes for contentment. That makes for feelings of self esteem and I belong. Nowadays, people don't know where they belong. The family
Mm.
is the basic unit of society. A strong family makes a strong society. Strong families come from people who know that they have a purpose and that they have responsibilities and do those responsibilities. So we should all children should have a job. A 1-year-old can match socks. A 6-month-old can hand you their sippy cup. Um, we should all have responsibilities and jobs. Every Saturday, everybody should be cleaning the house or whatever day you do it. It shouldn't just be mom and dad taking care of things. Have the kids pick up the toys, make it a game, make it fun. How fast can we get this done? And here's the tip. As soon as we finish this, then we can, okay, not if, as soon as the house is clean, then you can go out to play. As soon as you finish your chores, then you can, play your video game, whatever it is that you like them to do.
That's
So,
phenomenal. And I love that. I absolutely love it. And like you said, make it as a game. That's
mhm,
crucial. It's really, really crucial because they will have fun. It's gonna be like an activity. Same as going shopping. I keep telling that to my clients, like just get them involved and they can pick up some grocery, make a list based on their age and just give them something to do. And it's gonna be like an activity. Oh wow, look what we can do
yeah.
together. So that's
Let me
phenomenal.
tell you a story about the grocery store. Okay,
Go for
here's
it.
what you do. Here's what you do at the grocery store, and this is in the book too. All right, before you go to the grocery store, you tell the child, look, I need to see you, you need to see me. So I'm going to let you go, but if I can't see you, you have to sit in the cart. Do you understand? Or if you can't see me. And okay, I understand. All right, now you go to the grocery store. Of course, he's going to run off. I mean, the grocery store is a gigantic playground. I love the grocery store. But imagine you're this high and everything's right at your eye level. Oh my goodness. So, of course, the child's going to run off. Well, don't get mad. Just go to the child and say, I see you decided to sit in the cart. Boom. Put the child in the cart, put a smile on your face, and say, now, where are the bananas? I need help. And just like you said, Roxandra, give them jobs. Where's your favorite pasta? Where's this? Where's that? I can't find such and such, even if it's right in front of you. I'm looking for that. Where's the tomatoes? Where are the tomatoes? Right there, Mom, right there. Oh my goodness, I didn't see them. Good thing you're here. I need help. Give them a job to do. Let them put stuff from the cart onto the conveyor belt. Keep them busy, keep them busy. Let them help bag. It depends on how old they are. Let them hand the money over, whatever. Keep them busy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to keep you busy and make you go nuts.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Marta, for sharing that. That's really, really good. And I really loved when you said that they need to be busy. You need to keep them busy. That's for sure, because otherwise you get nuts. You feel you're not in control. Let's talk about misbehavior. Let's talk about those moments when we as parents, we feel that we lost it, especially if we are out and the child starts screaming, shouting, and all the tantrum starts. How should we respond to that?
Every time it happens, it's different. So you have to really decide what to do. You can pick up the child and say, okay, I guess we're done shopping today. And, go to your car and leave. It depends on really where you're at. Sometimes some people just let the kid lay there and have a fit. Uh, and they stay till they're done. Sometimes now, I've heard some new techniques. What they do is they go, oh, well, you can also distract. Is that a mouse? Is that a mouse on the floor? That might get their attention. Or is that Barney? Did I just see Barney go down the aisle? Try to maybe distract them. Or some children just need to be regulated. So you go, Oh my goodness, you've got big feelings today. Let's raise our hands. How big are those feelings? Show me how big your feelings are. Oh, yes, I know. It's so disappointing. I really wanted that. I know you really want that and you're disappointed. I hear you. I hear it's all you have to say. I hear you. Wow, I know it's disappointing. And then the child will come around. Most of the times they do. But if they just can't get control of themselves and you've tried all these other things, you might just have to pick the child up and take him out. I know one time my son had it. Oh, he went nuts. He went nuts because I had finally learned how to say no, and he couldn't believe it. He could not believe it. He
Hmm.
asked for a toy. We went to the mall. He wanted a toy. And I knew not to get it, but he pestered me and pestered me. See, don't let your kids do this. If you say no, you stick with no, parents. I'm telling you from experience. And he was about 4. And so I got him the toy. I said, look, I'm going to get this for you, but you better behave because otherwise I'm taking it back. Well, of course, he didn't believe me. Well, he wouldn't behave. I took that toy right back to the toy store. He went nuts, nuts, screaming and kicking and just having a fit. And I'm holding him like this away from me because luckily his legs weren't long enough to kick me yet to get, that far. And I was like, I know you're mad at mommy, honey, but it's not okay to hurt mommy. And I'm walking him out the mall like this, repeating, I know you're mad, honey. It's not okay to hurt mommy. And these people are going, she's just hit that kid. Well, hitting that child wasn't going to solve this. His little brain, I fried his brain. He was in shock. He was in shock. She said no and meant it. He couldn't process it. He went nuts. So, okay, so we get out to the car. He's still having a fit. I put him in the back seat. He's still having a fit. And I sit in the front and he's still having a fit. Had to be 10 minutes. He finally tired himself out, put on his seatbelt. I said, are you ready to go? We went home. I said, I think you need to go to your room and rest because I know I needed to rest. And then after he came out, we talked about it. But yeah, I fried his little brain. He was like, "Oh my, yeah." These are like, these weren't his actual thoughts, but these are what I'm putting in his mind.
Yes,
I,
absolutely. And
I
that's
can't
crucial.
believe this. Yes, I
What you
can't believe
just said
this.
there, that, like you said, especially we as adults, when we are angry or frustrated, that's the time when you don't want to hear another opinion. That's the time when you don't want to hear other, other things going on. All you want is maybe some peace or just to let it
Mhm,
go, let it vent, feel that anger, whatever it is. So same children, when they have a tantrum, it's
mhm,
enough to say, I hear you. I understand it's difficult now, or like you said, the way you're feeling, just acknowledge they are going through that. But it doesn't mean that you need to fix it then because they will not be able. And this is where I see so often parents are starting giving more directions and telling them to do even, putting kind of fuel on the fire. This is exactly
mhm.
what happens. And then obviously it's escalating and it's even harder for them to calm down. So that's amazing. And you mentioned about the power of saying no. That's a big thing I see so often. Parents don't know how to say no. And even in business or even in general in our life, we barely say no to things that we know we don't want to do, but we still do please others instead of putting our values and our needs first. Which I know the power of saying no, once you start doing that, it's magical. Everything changes. How can we start doing that with kids, especially if it's about a toy, if it's about a chocolate, dessert before dinner? How do we do that?
That's an excellent question, Roxandra, because people who don't learn to take no for an answer never learn to take no to say no to themselves. Then you have, all kinds of addiction problems, relationship problems, because they don't understand that no is the basis of self-discipline. You must accept no as an answer, and you must be able to tell yourself no. And this is really difficult. It's difficult for everybody. How do you say no? No, I'm not going to eat that donut. No, I'm not going to lay in bed. I'm getting out of the bed. So I'm not going to put snooze on and stay here 10 minutes. No, I'm getting up. No, I'm not leaving the bed unmade. Yes, I am making the bed. bed. So you need to say no to yourself. If you don't learn to say no to yourself, I'm just going to leave the dishes in the sink. No. Next thing you know, your sink is overrun and you've got all kinds of work to do. At my house, when I cook, before I leave the kitchen, before everything's done, after the meal or whatever, everything's cleaned. I have a rule that I leave a place at least the same as or better than when I found it. And that goes for my room, the kitchen, wherever I go. Because when we don't pick up after ourselves and take care of things, we make things worse, you know, as you already know. So you need to start saying no to yourself. So when you get that urge, I want a cigarette, I want this, I want that. No, I'm going to wait 10 minutes and then distract yourself. Start working on ways to develop your self-discipline, because if you don't, you know, number one, health is wealth. If you start looking around at all what's the ingredients in some of the foods, um, you're not going to have good health. And especially as you get older, it definitely important. And ask anyone who doesn't feel well, how much do they get done every day? So definitely health is wealth. And the way that you promote your health is you watch what you eat, you pay attention to ingredients, you exercise, and I'm talking about go walk 10 minutes. Just take a 10-minute walk. Get your dog out. Walk for 10 minutes. I lost 50 pounds walking my dog. So you have to be disciplined. Thank you. So, and I would go to the gym. I would get out of the bed. I'd have my shoes right there. I would change my clothes immediately, get a cup of coffee, go to the gym. So you have to start setting yourself up for success.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I remember years ago when I was teaching as well, I saw a documentary and I think it was about military or army. And I remember even now they were saying like the first thing they do, they have to do their beds. Like there's a non-negotiable there. Like that's the first thing they do in army and it's a must. And then obviously they talked about the psychology behind it and how important is to start your day with making your bed because otherwise like even the sink full of dishes it's a case of it's mental load sometimes you're
Mhm.
overwhelmed just stepping in that room and just seeing what you have to do is like oh my gosh where do I start and guess what the kids are seeing the same thing right so those small habits like you mentioned early on Marta that was phenomenal when you can trick your brain and you can start small little steps I love that thank you for sharing that
And let
and
me tell you this, Roxander, rather than nagging your children all the time, make your bed, blah, 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 put a list up in their bedroom, nice and big. A lot of kids need pictures. Okay, take a picture of the made bed. Take a picture of whatever it is, put it up right there. They see it every morning. Here's what you do every morning. Make your bed, whatever. So you don't have to constantly be nagging them. I remember when my son was younger, I don't know, there's something he wouldn't do. I would just put a note up, just put up a note, and that took care of it. And then that way I didn't have to nag. He didn't get annoyed with me. Like be sure to turn the water off fully, or whatever it is. So that helps in relationships too, so that you stop always being the nag. Write notes. Write notes. Remember this. Remember that. If you have a family member who's always forgetting their phone or whatever, we'll put a little note by the door. Got your phone, got phone, wallet, check that before you go out the door. So, and then that way you're not the nag.
I love it. That's so good. That's so good. So now let's go back to something really important. Parents. And let's say we have two parents in a family, and one of them is allowing more than the other. So kind of going back to saying no. So obviously mom says, okay, screen time 20 minutes. And that is, oh yeah, he can stay an hour. So what do we do then?
Well, first off, you have to have a conversation, just the two of you discussing this. But do not speak poorly of your spouse in front of your children, whether you're divorced or not. Always say positive things about your spouse to your children, so that they don't. If your children hear you speak poorly of someone else, your child's first thought is, what do they say when I'm not around? It's a very scary thing for children when their parents, especially when their parents talk poorly about the other parent. Because then, and if parents, then the child has to decide, well, whose side do I need to be on? And right now I'm talking about divorced parents or separated parents. If if you speak poorly about your spouse, you put your child in a position where they feel like they have to speak poorly about their parent to you. And that's too confusing for children, way too confusing. So keep your thoughts and opinions about your spouse to yourself, unless they're positive, and help your child navigate this time. But also, you know what? People, you have to make a decision with your spouse about the main things. But everybody treats kids differently. That's just how it is. So sometimes that's just what's going to happen. The child's going to learn. Okay, here's what will happen. That let's say one spouse is much more lenient than the other. Well, the child's going to always go to the lenient spouse for things, but then that spouse is going to start getting annoyed because they're the one that, the child's always bugging for stuff, etc. And hopefully they'll come around. But you can't fix everything, and people treat people differently. That's just the way of life. So you and your spouse have got to make some decisions. What are the most important things, and follow with that. Definitely to me, the most absolute most important things is we never hit our children. We
Mm-hmm.
never hit our children, and we certainly don't call them names, or a lot of people tease their children. I think that's cruel. I But families are different. But don't call your
Yeah.
children names. Don't yell and scream at them because when they made a mistake. Wait until you're calm to talk to them about when they've misbehaved, because otherwise you pull it all out of proportion. Especially, let's talk about devices.
Oh,
Children, even
yes.
adults, are addicted to devices. So, you see these things of parents grabbing the child's phone and breaking it, and destroying the child's game in front of them. That's not the time to do that. That destroys relationships. You need to have a conversation, and you have to really talk it out and say, look, this is pretty much ruining our lives. We're spending too much time, and you're not the only one. I have my own problems with it. Let's come up with some solutions how we can deal with this. And if we can't get control, we're going to have to be drastic. And here are some drastic measures that we're going to have to take. Are you here? Do you hear me? Let's get this talked out, because we cannot live on our devices. We're sacrificing our lives for the devices, and the people that make the devices and the televisions and entertainment and everything else, they are experts in behavior, and they know how to keep us stuck to that device or that TV, etc. So
Yeah.
we have to be strong, make a plan, and live our lives, not be victims to devices.
Absolutely. And especially you with so many years, like 16 plus years experience, just in very simple language, tell us what those devices are doing to our kids, like especially screen time.
Well, yes, they're making them passive. They're making them constantly wanting to be entertained, never going out and venturing and finding things. They're constantly consumers. They're not producers. And our job as people is to produce food, produce ideas, produce things, um, produce products that help people. We need to produce. We need to move, especially boys. Part of the problem with boys and why so many of them are being put on medication is because boys need to be active from sun up to sundown. I remember when I was young, my brother used to go out and find tadpoles. He had turtles that he would feed. He would go get the tad. We would go to the pond, get the tadpoles to feed the turtles. We were busy all the time outside. My mom sometimes she would say, "Get out and stay."
Yeah. And it was the best thing to do because that's
Yes.
another thing we are missing in society nowadays. Outdoors activities.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely we
Mm-hmm.
prioritize them. Like that's for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Thank you so much, Martha. Honestly, I'm so glad that I had you part of today's podcast. And thank you for sharing everything in such a lovely and transparent way. Thank you very much for being so open. And it's amazing. So, everyone, please go and check on Amazon. We're going to put the link as well. I love the
And
title.
also,
Yes, you can raise responsible children. I love it. How, just tell us a little bit about the book. How did you come up with the title? And tell us a bit more about what shall we find inside if someone wants to buy it.
well, there's the book. It's only 60 pages, and it's all here's what you do. The child won't put his seatbelt on. Here's what you do. Here's what you do at the grocery store. Here's what you do to strengthen your marriage. It's all, you know, to the point information. And also, I have a website, marthaburich.com, but join my Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/mastering child behavior. And on the Facebook group, you can download for free a parenting quiz that tells you your parenting style and how it affects your child's behavior. So there's marthaburich.com, and there's the Facebook group Mastering Child Behavior.
That's phenomenal. Oh, I will check the quiz out as well. I really want to be a great parent. So, absolutely. Thank you, Marta, again. Thank you. And I will put all your details so everyone can find you and just a click away to be very easy for everyone to come and contact you. So, if you go towards Martha, please send her a butterfly so she knows you're coming from this community and go and check her work because she does amazing, amazing out there. And you saw her how pure she is and how much knowledge she has. I really appreciate everything you did for us today, Marta. And I can't wait to work more with you because I know you're going to run some workshops for us and you're going to do lots of other things, which will be fantastic. So, super excited for that. And yes, remember everyone who listened, go and join Super Mom's Magic Circle community on Facebook as well. Drop me a fire. Just send me a fire. Sounds really weird, but just send that to me so I know you are open for a one-to-one business coaching session. And go and follow Marta and go and get in touch with her. And let's raise those happy, responsible children together. And she's the person to go to get some support and help. This is all from today. Keep on smiling, keep on shining. Until next time, and Be You podcast continues. Bye.